Main popcorn flicks such as Thor Ragnarok and Justice League have been dominating the box office over the last couple of weeks. So much so that they could be overshadowing one of the year's absolute best films, the creepy, darkly hilarious, and incredibly uncomfortable psychological black comedy, The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Hybrid films are some of the most difficult pieces of media to properly recognize and deliver. Adding in multiple genre tropes and tones into one film could prove to be a disastrous mess, as films like Suicide Squad and Suburbicon have gone to show. Sometimes, as is the case with Brawl in Cell Block 99, genre hybrids could also be a blessing for a film, and Yorgos Lanthimos knows this all too well. Fresh off his 2016 romance satire, The Lobster, Lanthimos looks to shine again with his newest film, The Killing of a Sacred Deer. The filmmaker is known for his radically different and intentionally awkward method in dealing with heavy topics, as his previous two films, Dogtooth and The Lobster, have shown us. Here, Lanthimos goes for several different things: in surrealist nightmare, an uncomfortable black comedy, a creepy psychological horror, and an absurdly crazy story. The Killing of a Sacred Deer is pulling off some incredibly risky choices for the sake of artistic intention, yet it manages to pay off in the end. Why is that? An eye for an eye. The Killing of a Sacred Deer has a laser-sharp focus on its main story, which follows Stephen Murphy, Colin Farrell, a talented and well-spoken surgeon, who seems to have it all. A lovely wife in Anna Nicole Kidman, two smart and normal kids, Rafi Cassidy and Sunny Suljic, in a fancy house. The Murphys are the poster child of your average American family. This all changes when Stephen begins to befriend Martin Barry Keoghan, a lone and awkward teenager who starts to insert himself into the family in more sinister ways than the Murphys anticipated. Spoiling the true story of The Killing of a Sacred Deer would be a jerk move, so all I will say is that the story takes some interesting turns that signal the start of an incredibly odd psychological horror that has endless layers to dissect, both on surface and metaphorical level. The story functions very much like a modern-day Greek tragedy, and viewing everything on a surface level will not give you the answers you may be looking for. This is a thinking person's movie for sure, and though it may not appeal to everyone, it's definitely the type of story that literary buffs will have an absolute blast with. Even casual audiences may enjoy the confusing and disturbing ride that the film goes on, however baffled they might be while doing so. Serious psychological issues. The trailers may point to Martin Barry Keoghan as the lone psychological nutcase in the film, and while that's more accurate than the trailers let on, don't be fooled. Everyone in this movie is off-kilter in some way, shape or another. This is all communicated through brilliant and daring performances from an able cast, including Colin Farrell giving one of the most subtle performances in the film. His character, Stephen, has a lot to reveal, but it's all under the calm guise of a nonsense surgeon. But rest assured, there's always something off about Stephen, from the way he talks to simply how he moves. Farrell is both charming and weirdly off-putting in this role, and the same can go for Nicole Kidman, whose role as Anna provides some of the more hilarious and straight-up cringeworthy moments of the film. I mean that in a good way too. Anna is far from perfect, and her nuanced monstrosity is a spectacle to behold. The child actors bring out some great moments as well, with Rafi Cassidy shining as Kim, the music prodigy of the family. Although she's kind on the eyes, her sinister personality brings on arguably the most heart-wrenchingly hilarious exchange with her brother, Bob, played by Sunny Suljic. The kids have this odd innocence to them, which makes their darker scenes all the more frightening too. They're young, but the dark underbellies of their characters are one of the scariest aspects children their age could have. Both are performed greatly by the two young actors, with Cassidy giving arguably an Oscar-worthy performance with everything she has to do. Another Oscar-worthy performance comes from Barry Keoghan, who frankly steals the whole show as Martin, the teenager with the unclear plan. It's unsure what can be made of Martin, even as certain things are revealed about him. Martin seems to exist in a dimension of his own, and yes, this is incredibly intentional. The story allows Martin to exist the way he does, and Keoghan's portrayal of him is hands down the scariest performance of the entire year. From the way Martin speaks, walks, to even the way he looks at a person with whatever intent he has in his mind, Keoghan nails every inch of Martin's personality. His social awkwardness, his emotionless yet incredibly grim motivation for what he's doing, everything. If Keoghan were to win Best Supporting Actor next year, then you wouldn't hear me complaining. He absolutely deserves it for this. The world of tragedy, arguably the important asset to the film's creepy and unusual tone, is the visual and sound style. The Killing of a Sacred Deer's technical aspects are amazing on their own, with each camera shot and angle not wasted in the slightest. Long tracking shots of Stephen walking down the hospital hallway, kids crawling around the house, or Martin creepily slobbering up his spaghetti. Each shot invokes a sense of something being terribly wrong at all times, giving an intense tone even from the film's opening shot, which is quite graphic and jarring, forewarning those shoving popcorn in their mouths winning this. The film's visual style not only looks beautiful and damn near Kubrickian, but it adds loads of personality to the film, almost as if the film's universe is aware of it. That, added with the incredibly unnerving score, makes for an utterly terrifying. The music, in particular, has a constant presence in the film, sometimes creeping over seemingly mundane conversations about material goods, always implying that there's something underneath the surface. Sometimes it can get repetitive, and the last 25 minutes of The Killing of a Sacred Deer certainly feels like a drag rather than emotional crescendo. But that's basically my only complaint with this masterpiece of macabre comedy. Conclusion: The Killing of a Sacred Deer may seem like a pretentious waste of time in some people's eyes, and I can understand why. The odd tone, the try-hard method of the filmmaking, it all screams award bait. In a way, it is exactly that. Being released at the height of Oscar season with award-friendly players, it's definitely the kind of film that was made with awards recognition in mind. But rest assured, Yorgos Lanthimos does not sacrifice any artistic integrity to soften the blow of his film. The Killing of a Sacred Deer, awards bait or not, is a fascinating tale on guilt and the artificial stereotype of the perfect American family, and arguably the most unique revenge story I've seen in a long time. It's a film I've been constantly thinking about, and one that I can't wait to see again. Even if the story is not too original, fans of Greek mythology will get what I mean. Its delivery of said story is something worth experiencing at least once. Check this out in theaters as soon as you can, and I can promise you that you'll be feeling something by the end of the movie. It might also be hard to eat spaghetti again. Final verdict 9.510. The Killing of a Sacred Deer is playing in select theaters nationwide right now.